Umpire called it very late too. Reacted.
You just hope he's all right, head-wise as well.
Yep.
He's on his feet, which is good, but you do not want concussion to come into play.
Just it up. And the Giants are through to the semi-finals. GWS eliminated.
Up and down, bit of a lost season and a bit of a lost team in no man's land. Best describes the GWS Giants season, Liam.
Yeah, it's one of those ones where it's up and down, and nobody really knew what was going to happen, whether they were going to make the finals, whether they're going to miss it. And they're just in no man's land. I don't know what's next for this club. Do they come back and compete for finals again next year? Or do they just hit the full and reset button and just say, we're going to go back down the bottom of the ladder, do what we did when we first came into the league, be absolutely dog and, be on the rise again. But, yeah, I don't know what is next. I could not tell you where they're going to finish next year. I don't know what's going to happen next year.
I don't think they do either.
So, yeah, it's one that's completely lost. But we'll get stuck into the first segment. And as always, what was the best win that you saw them have?
So the best win for the Giants, in my eyes, actually came in their not so much thought about elimination final compared to what it would have been if it was up in Sydney. But the Giants really blew the league away with what they managed to do. I think everyone had the Swans winning. They were up 23 points at the half, the Giants, up 19 at three-quarter time before almost choking, only kicking one single point in the last. However, they held on to beat the Swans and book a semi-final berth with the Cats, who, look, we know how that ended, but no one expected them to be in the finals, let alone win a final. So that was probably their best win for me.
The one I went with came back in round 16, and it was a bit of a scrap, but it came against the D, saying that winning by 9 points in front of a very low crowd at the MCG. But I thought it was their best win because they knocked off what would be the minor premiers, arguably the best team in the comp at the time. And on the road at the G, I think it was like the second week on the road after the New South Wales COVID outbreak. And they just came out to play. They led pretty much the entire game from quarter time pretty much onwards. And they held on. Kelly that day had 29 touches. The 705 meters gained, and he just led from the front that day. So that got the Chockies for their best win for me. Now, they had a few, but what was the worst or loss that they had?
Yeah, as you said, there were a few to choose from. As I said earlier, up and down was the easiest way to describe this season, very much so a seesaw. I ended up jumping onto round 15 against Hawthorn. A home match, technically, by the fixture. It was at the G due to Sydney's COVID outbreak in front of only about 9,500, I believe. It was a very, very poor effort from the crowd. However, they ended up losing by 3 goals. And it was not a great performance. They let the Hawks kick 33 points to the 18 in the last. So the Hawks ended up winning by 18. I don't have a lot to say about this, but for a team who was trying to push for finals, which, look, they ended up getting there, whatever. But you look back on this, and next year you go into it thinking this is not what we want to do if we want to be up there-ish again.
Can't be drop on these games.
So, that probably came in as their worst loss for me.
I'll go with a similar route to you. I'm going with round 17. They took on the Suns, a bit of an irrelevant match out at Mars Stadium, but again, it's another one they dropped. As you said, a team pushing for finals, they dropped this one to Gold Coast. They lost by a point, but however, in the last quarter, they only kicked the 1 goal to the Suns, 3 goals to And they had a 13-point lead at three-quarter time. They ended up choking that. So yeah, a loss to the Suns. We all know about that club. Nothing to say about them, and just to lose to them, just to check a lead to the Gold Coast, who have been absolutely irrelevant since they've come to the comp. It's one you can't really drop, as you said. The team pushing for finals to drop this game, and just drop it in general, just to lose is just probably came as the worst loss of the season for me.
Fair enough. Now we'll jump into the best and fairest for the GWS Giants, the Kevin Sheedy medal, I believe it's called, if I'm not mistaken, for their top three this season.
Yeah, very good. Number three, I've come in with a bloke who people don't like that much, but Toby Green. He only played the 18 games, obviously the ones he missed were due to suspension. Had the 17 touches, about the 4.5 inside 50s, 2.5 goals, and yeah, just another solid season from the veteran that he is. Toby Green, as he also is a bit silly. You all know what he does. He got suspended for touching the umpire, but in my eyes, he's a very solid player for the Giants, and he's got 2-3 years left of him. I think they need to use him very wisely, because when he is on his game, he is very, very clever around the goals. He can pull some miraculous stuff, and he can take some good marks. So he comes in at number three. At number two, no surprise here, Joshua Kelly. 26 touches a game, 4 inside 50s, 17 uncontested a game. Just very solid, as he always has been. The last 2-3 years he's really come out. He also re-signed with them last year, I think it was, after rumors he was going to request a trade home or somewhere, I believe, but they re-signed him for life, I think it was. So yeah, he's very solid, 5 and bit tackles a game, and he's only 26 off the top of my head, so he's still got many years ahead of him, and yeah, he's in the peak of his career, so he's just going to get better. And at number one, a bloke who has very increased his game over the last couple of years, that is Timmy Taranto. 23-year-old, averages 26 touches a game, 106 fantasy points, 4 inside 50s. Yeah, he's just very, very solid. About 5 tackles a game. He's just does it all. He kicks goals, does some midfield stuff, gets those possessions, and yeah, he just pretty much does a lot. We saw in round, I can't remember what it was, but against Richmond, Toby Green was out. He stepped up and kicked 5 goals. So he can pretty much play anywhere if he wants to. So yeah, he gets out my number one in my best and fairest. Who'd you go with?
I had the same 3, just in a little bit of different order. So 3, I had Josh Kelly. 2, I had the kickboxer in Toby Green. And first, and taking the Kevin Sheedy medal, I had Timmy Taranto as well.
Very good. We'll move on to next. The most surprising player that you saw come out this year, who exceeded or who didn't quite reach the bar?
I think someone that caught the eye of a lot of AFL fans. He almost came out of nowhere. Prior to this season, he'd played a total of 10 games for his career, and he came out and played all 24 for the Giants this year. So very, very handy addition to the side, and that player is Isaac Cumming. He averaged the 22 disposals a game, or just under, which is an increase of about 11 compared to last year. Didn't kick any goals, however, upped his tackles, upped his inside 50s, upped his rebound 50s by 3. It was a very, very solid player for the Giants. I wouldn't say elite, but he was there when they needed him.
Yeah. He has
Holding up
potential
that
to be something
holding up
good.
that defense. He sure does. He's only 23 years of age. So yeah, I was very impressed with his season, and he takes home my most surprising player.
Very good. I struggled with this one because there's a lot of players that that pretty much stayed the same, and the ones that did improve were the ones we all expected to. But yeah, I had to go with the same with Isaac Cumming. He's turned into a very solid player. Yeah, as you said, he described all his stats, and he's just improved his game. He's going to continue over the next few years. He's going to be, he's 23, as he said, and he's going to be part of the next, next time they push, you'd think is going to go into a bit of a rebuild stage in the next few years. And yeah, I feel like he's just going to be maybe a building block that the Giants have down back. So yeah, very, very solid season from himself. And the most difficult question you could probably ask this club is, what do they need to do for next year? They're in no man's land, but what do you think they need to just do?
You're right. It's not an easy question in the slightest, really. As we've said multiple times, they're in complete no man's land. If you had to ask me, who's a team that is as far away from being bad as they are as far away from being good, as in elite level good, like top four. The first team that would come to my mind is GWS. What do they do? Do they try to reload and they contend, or do they just stop, halt the tracks, get rid of Phil Davis, get rid of the players like that, and just bring in some more young players and just try to rebuild, which could only take them 2 years of being mediocre before they're elite level again. They have good players to build around. Kelly, Taranto, Whitfield could potentially be there towards the end of it. Cumming, as we've touched on. So there's a lot to like, and there's a lot to hate. And they need to find the perfect balance, and they need to figure it out sooner rather than later.
They need to do it now rather than 2 years down the track, start questioning and be 2 years behind everything. So yeah, I fully agree. I think I just need to hit the reset button and probably do it earlier rather than later. Don't wait 2 years down the track and then you got more players retiring and you can't have veterans at the club. But yeah, I feel like just go back to where they were when they first joined the competition. Be that average team, and then come up in 2-3 years time and contend again like they were in 2019, 2018, and all those years back where they made the prelim. Just they get good building blocks. Also, Toronto's going to be an absolute star. Coming as the potential. Also, Kelly, Matt Flynn as the big ruckman. No doubt they're going to be very good in a few years' time, and that's just whether they have to do it now, pretty much, and not question about it. And another difficult one is, where do you think they're going to finish next year?
Who knows?
Pretty much.
Yeah, that's my answer. Who knows? If I had to put a figure, I realistically can't see them making finals. I think there is other teams that will take it off them, such as the likes of a potential St Kilda, a potential Carlton if they get their act together, a potential Fremantle. So I don't see them making the 8 in my eyes. So I'm going to say in that 9 to 12 range is probably the ideal situation for the Giants next year. And that's literally the no man's land, isn't it? It's too far out to get a really good draft. And it's just outside the 8. Like you worked all year just to miss the 8. That's probably where I'm going to chuck them in at.
I'm going to go with 8 to 12. I feel like they could scrape in if they wanted to, but again, they have that potential to not do anything and just be in that no man's land of just drop down to 10th, 11th, 12th. And I don't know what's going to happen with this club next year. I guess we'll find out round 1 where they're at, but it's the hardest team in the comp to judge at this rate. We don't know what they're going to do, what's going to happen. And yeah, I've got them in the 8 to 12 bracket. Because they could just somehow make finals and then also just drop out and be in that no man's land. And finally, if they were obviously a test, what grade would you smack on the front cover?
Just a B, sort of
Yeah.
an average. Probably B minus is probably an average, but I chucked a B because I didn't see them as a finals team. I didn't have them
Yep.
in my 8 when I started the season predictions. And I definitely didn't have them winning a final, especially going into the Swans game. I didn't think they were realistically a chance. But they did. So that probably bumped it up to a B for me.
I've gone with the average grade you said. I've gone with the B minus. They won some they shouldn't have. They lost some they shouldn't have. And yeah, it was kind of an up and down. Some weeks they looked very, very strong. The next week they looked very, very weak, and there's a big gap between their best and their worst. And they nearly tracked that finals win, but the game against Geelong was just average for me. They tried to come back late in the last, but then it was just too much of a gap, and Geelong also just ran over the top of them. So yeah, just B minus, pretty much an average season, and no other word pretty much just to describe it.
All right. Anything else on the Giants, or are we all sweet, all done?
All done from my end.
Very good. So thank you all for joining us. Be sure to join us tomorrow for probably what will be a sort of trade talk as we ramp up into the trade period and the drafts and things upcoming. So yeah, make sure you tag us or tag in with us for that tomorrow, and obviously Thursday with the Sydney Swans and Friday with the Western Bulldogs review, which who knows how that one will go. But
yeah.
Catch us then, and we'll see you later.
See ya.